I have designed what I believe to be maybe the greatest superhero game ever, but I have no way to get it made. The game is called Great Responsibility, and it's an immersive superhero life sim role-playing game. Just like Spider-Man did for comics and Invincible did for TV, I want to create a video game that truly looks into the idea, truly dives deep on the idea of what it means to be a hero. Because we have great games. We have great superhero games already. The Batman Arkham series, amazing games. The new Spider-Man games, even the old ones, fantastic games. But all of these games, they manage to capture the highs of being the hero. Sure, the main story might have some sad beats, like someone might die, I don't want to spoil anything, but the actual gameplay does nothing to really make you feel what it would feel like to be a superhero. And that's where Great Responsibility comes in. I gotta tell you, I've been noodling on this for years. I've made a prototype, though it is so rudimentary because I'm not good at coding myself. I've designed it multiple times. I've made videos on it and then deleted them because I didn't know whether or not to share the idea. And I've just come to the realization lately that the likelihood of me being able to develop the game myself, it's just not very high. So I figured my best shot at getting this game made, my only hope for ever seeing this game made, would be to create a YouTube video sharing with you the idea and hope that maybe it could gain enough momentum to one day be made. So grab a snack, kick back, relax, and allow me to walk you through my idea for Great Responsibility. At its core, Great Responsibility would be a third-person superhero life sim with gameplay that marries The Sims to Spider-Man. The game would open up similar to any life sim or role-playing game with a character creator. Similar to a game like Dragon Age Origins or Cyberpunk 2077, you would have the ability to choose an origin story. My idea for Great Responsibility is that when you choose your origin story, that decision would also determine your class and the game's difficulty. Because you see, the game would have three options: a vigilante, a mutant, and an alien. The vigilante, he's inspired by Batman, Daredevil, Iron Man, any human that doesn't have powers. I know Daredevil technically has some powers. Any human that doesn't have powers, that's who this class is inspired by. If you chose this path, your origin story would be a tragic backstory, like probably someone in your life dies very tragically after you build up a bit of relationship, right? When he dies, when she dies, that would then push you to pursuing a life of crime fighting, taking justice into your own hands, so to speak. The game would have a dynamic 24-hour day and night cycle, and you'd spend your days working jobs to earn money and your nights fighting crime. And you would also be trying to manage relationships and your time and choice and consequences, and all of this would be way harder when you're starting out as a vigilante. When you're starting off as a vigilante, everything that you're using is just stuff you could find around your house. So your outfit, it's made of raggedy clothes, you're fighting with your hands, maybe a baseball bat, but you don't have a lot at your disposal. You don't have anything too lethal, you don't have a lot of armor. It is a lot harder out on the streets for a vigilante. And leveling up as a vigilante, it probably is going to have the most flexibility in terms of options. You can choose to go to a dojo and further your fighting skills and just stick to hand-to-hand combat, maybe pick up some armor from a nearby armor store so that you don't get hurt too often. Or maybe you want to level the playing field a bit and you don't like how many of these bad guys bring guns to the fight, so you decide to go get some for yourself, be something more like the Punisher, where you choose to take these criminals out once and for all. In that case, the crime safety rating of the city, that's a system I'll talk about a little bit later, that'll definitely go up, but your public perception, that could go way down. People don't like a killer. Or maybe you get a good enough day job that you can really fund some really expensive research and you go the full Tony Stark route and you have boosters on your feet, you have guns coming out of your hands. There are a lot of different ways to go as a vigilante, and while you might be super underpowered to begin with, you will be quite overpowered by the time you end the game, and I think it'd be a really fun growth. Now when night falls, it's time to fight crime, and you're gonna prowl the city looking for any baddies to beat up. The combat is going to be similar to something like Batman or Spider-Man, free flow combat, with a parry system. Since as a vigilante, you're human, you're going to have a stamina meter here for the counter system. You're going to have to pick and choose what moves you want to counter. That can get better with training, but what that means is in the beginning, you're going to have to do better at picking your fights, picking your distance in fights, and just really being smarter about the people you go toe-to-toe with. And this could have some really big consequences. So let's say there's a night where you're prowling the streets and you come upon two guys that are mugging some person in an alleyway, right? Let's say you go and fight them off, but one of them has a knife, so during the fight you get stabbed. You do win the fight, the victim escapes, but you have a stab wound now. Since the victim escaped, your renown and your fame, those are going to go up, so is the public perception of you. They're going to start seeing you as a good guy a little bit more after this. And because you beat both of these bad guys, your intimidation is also going to go up a little bit, meaning that bad guys might think twice a little bit more often about whether or not they want to fight you. But the bad news is now you have an injury and you have to go get that treated, and you might not be able to fight crime tomorrow, and there is a chance that there's a bigger crime tomorrow that you would like to help with, but you just can't. All in all though, a pretty good day of crime fighting for somebody just starting off. But let's rewind that scenario and let's say that you actually lose the fight now. Well, since you engaged with the bad guys, that was enough distraction for the victim to still escape. So your public perception does go up a little bit, but the guy might see that you're getting beat up, so your fame might not grow as much as it would otherwise. And now, since the bad guys beat you up and were able to get away, your intimidation is going to go down, probably quite a bit since you got beat by only 2 dudes. This means that people just won't take you seriously, and if you try to thwart crime, your voice alone isn't going to send anyone running. But the worst consequence of this is that now you have major injuries that might take you days out of crime fighting, and the crime safety rating of the city is going to go up. That's right, there's another system, a crime safety rating for the city. I didn't mention it in the last scenario because I thought it would be more impactful here, but it would still apply, and I'm sure you can imagine how it would pan out. Since you lost to these guys, other criminals, they might feel emboldened, so the crime safety of the city, it's going to go down a few points, and that also means that there might be more criminals out on the street. Now, this is not going to be like Crimson Desert, where if you wipe out all of the enemies, they'll stay gone forever. You've now created a peaceful land. It wouldn't work like that. As time goes on, there might be events that make the city safety rating go down outside of your control. That'll just happen, but you can make the whole trend up. But since you lost this fight, you're injured, and you're going to have a harder fight waiting for you when you hit the town again the next time you're able to go out. Like I said, life is hard for a vigilante, but life is a little bit easier if you choose to be a mutant. Now, a mutant, this is kind of your stereotypical superhero backstory. Someone falls in a vat of acid and comes out the other side with superpowers. Now, the mutant, you would have 3 main powers. 1, the ability to jump really high. 2, the ability to have heightened senses or unlimited stamina, so you no longer have to take breaks or be as cautious in fights. And 3, superior strength. Immediately off rip, it's going to be way easier for you when you are out fighting crime. You can evade fights way easier because of your ability to jump, and you can also withstand a lot more damage and avoid more damage altogether with your increased stamina and your increased agility. But not only that, you can deal out way more damage with your superior strength, so it's easier to take guys down in fights. If playing as a vigilante feels more like the game Sifu, then playing as a mutant feels more like Spider-Man. As the mutant levels up, their ability to jump high will eventually level up into the ability to glide, and then the ability to fly. And with their superior strength comes a lot more moves as you level up, and the ability to climb on buildings using raw strength, and maybe throw big things across a battlefield like a car, for example. In terms of the combat gameplay, like I said, this would be most reminiscent of a game like Batman Arkham or Spider-Man. You kind of have an idea of how this one would feel. What's really cool about the mutant though is the way you level up. Instead of going to like a dojo and going to find weapons and all that stuff, you are instead going to be going to a university for mutants. Because you are not the only superhero in this world. This world is populated with superheroes, but I'll get to that a bit when I talk about the wide world and the relationship systems, because there is a lot that goes into that. That is the meat and potatoes of this game. But yeah, similar to Charles Xavier and the X-Men, when you're a mutant, you would go to a university and you would find an old superhero to teach you how to use your powers correctly. And then the last class, the easiest class, and maybe my favorite class, is the Alien class. This is inspired by people like Superman, like Omni-Man. This class might feel the most unique despite being the easiest. You'll have very similar abilities to the mutant. They'll just be way heightened. You'll have the ability to fly and run fast. You'll be impervious to a lot of damage, and you'll have insane strength. The difficulty for the Alien class comes in the form of public perception. You see, your backstory here, it's going to be very similar to a Clark Kent or a Goku style backstory. You landed here as an infant, a family took care of you, you were raised as a human, and now that you're an adult, you're realizing how much power you have and you have to figure out what to do with it. But because you were raised by humans, you didn't get a lot of opportunities to really train. You didn't really know how to harness your power correctly. So now that you're an adult and you're out fighting crime, you're a little too strong. If you don't time your punches correctly and you just mash the X button, well, then you might punch a hole straight through your enemy. The public is not going to like exploding bad guys all over the place. And what would a superhero game be without a secret identity mechanic? Where the other classes, they can sprint around the map easy peasy, no one's going to bat an eye. You, my friend, have super speed, so you can't do that. If you were to sprint around the city as a civilian, people will immediately know that you're this new alien that popped on the scene because you have super speed. So you'll have to be a lot more cautious about when to use mechanics like jump or like sprint. That will also be an issue for the mutant, but not quite to the same degree. What I love most about the alien class is that instead of leveling up, you level down. For the alien specifically, there's going to be a remote location on the map where they have to go and they have to wilderness train. They have to like punch holes in mountains, break logs down, have this superheroic training montage. What you're really doing is you're building your own fortress of solitude where you can go and you can train and you can upgrade, because all of these heroes, they're all going to have these different homes available to them, but because the alien is an alien, they need something unique to themselves. So building your fortress of solitude is a great way for the alien to level down while also building the house that they'll use for the remainder of the game. That will be the only instance of crafting in the game. Don't worry, it's not a crafting game. There's just this snippet for the alien to level down. Once the alien does level down, they're not going to have to worry quite as much about punching a hole through somebody or running so fast that people will immediately know who they are. But by highlighting those three classes, that just gave you an idea of the gameplay loop at its most basic. There is still so much more that really makes this game special. Most notably, the wider world and the relationship system. So as much as good superhero media is about the hero themselves, it's also about the people in the superhero's life that they love. Superman is also about Lois Lane. Spider-Man is also about Mary Jane and Aunt May. Batman is also about Alfred and Robin. Invincible is also about Adam Eve and Debbie and Nolan and Oliver. Invincible's so good. Anyway, what makes these superhero stories so impactful is how they manage life as a civilian and as a superhero. And a big part of that is their relationships and the obligations they make to those relationships. So as you go about the world, you'll make relationships just like you would in a game like The Sims. Of course, the relationships wouldn't be able to be as deep as they are in The Sims because that's exclusively a life sim game, but you would still have the ability to build friendships, romances, and even enemies. And all of these relationships, they're going to have different expectations of you. They're going to invite you to parties. They're going to invite you to dates. They're going to try to hang out with you. Some of these events might mean a lot to them, like maybe a birthday party that they've really been excited for. Some of these events might not mean so much, like maybe going bowling with them. But more often than not, these events are going to be scheduled for the evenings when you're typically fighting crime, and you're going to have to choose between whether to fight crime one night or whether to go hang out with a friend. Depending on what you were invited to, you might get away with ditching the event altogether, but on some nights like the birthday party, for example, if you go fight crime, you might be losing a friend. But the crime, it's dynamic. Some nights there's a lot of petty crime and not anything big popping off. Some nights there's a minor villain who appeared. Some nights it's a huge catastrophe. And you'll find out about crime the same way you find out about events that you're invited to, through the player's phone. You get invited to things through in-person conversations, phone calls, text messages, emails, and those things get added to your calendar in the phone. But on the phone is also either a news app or a police scanner app. I don't know which one. And through this app is how you find out about crime currently in progress. And that's the thing. You'll have to gauge whether or not you're going out tonight based on what the police scanner looks like at the moment of the event. There could be a time where all seems quiet on the Western Front when you go to your friend's birthday party, and midway through the birthday party, someone like the Rhino shows up downtown and you have to decide whether to stay or go. And choosing either one will bring dire consequences. But those aren't your only obligations, because you also have to make money. You also have to eat. You also have to find somewhere to live. So during the day, there won't be as much crime. There still will be some crime, and you'll have to decide whether to go to your job or fight a crime that you pass by when you walk past an alleyway. But mostly during the days, you're going to be working. There'll be a host of different workable jobs that you can choose from, like maybe driving a taxi or delivering food, or maybe there's like a construction job where you have to do a series of mini games, maybe like 5 to 10 small workable jobs like that, right? Just because I know someone's going to say they wouldn't want to work jobs in a superhero game, you would have the option to skip them, though you would make more money if you played them. But playing the minigames would be similar to Fight Night Round 3, where you just have to complete the minigames once to get a high score, and then that high score will be locked in, and automating it will always use your high score. So you'll always have the option to play, but you don't have to. Either way, going to this job is how you earn money. And with this money, you buy clothes, you pay for your medicine/aid to heal your injuries, you can buy houses, you can decorate your house, you can pay for dates, you can buy vehicles, and that's gonna especially be important if you're a vigilante. There will be a lot to spend your money on. And through all this is basically how the game's story is written. You might have noticed that I haven't brought up a big narrative, and that's because I don't think this game necessarily needs one. I think that if this gameplay loop is as effective as I imagine it to be, then your gameplay will consistently beg and answer the question, what does it mean to be a hero? Just like The Sims story is your life as a regular old person, in Great Responsibility, the story is your life as a superhero. And that story is enhanced by how dynamic the crime is and how wide the world is. So just like I said, you're not the only superhero, there are also supervillains, from low-level supervillains to global threat supervillains. When they pop up, it's going to feel somewhat random to the player. That's all a part of being a superhero. You don't know when these threats are coming. You could have 2 weeks straight of just petty crime with no supervillains pop up, and then multiple days of big supervillain after big supervillain after big supervillain. Just like in Invincible, you can have faith, or hope rather, that somebody else will take care of the supervillain for you, especially if the supervillain is a bigger threat than you can manage, but you are always going to have to wonder whether or not you should go out and fight that supervillain. And my hope for the longevity of this game is that you could continually add more supervillains and maybe bigger threats, maybe expand the map so that you could eventually go to space and have like space level threats. You know what a superhero arc goes and how the power scales. I would love to embody that long term if this game were to ever be made. But the same can also be said for the superheroes. The superheroes might be the most interesting characters in the game. The superheroes are also characters you can interact with and befriend. Once you hit a certain level of friendship, you'll have the ability to reveal your secret identity to them or ask them to reveal their secret identity to you. Doing this is super risky because, like they tell you in every superhero media, revealing your secret identity puts your loved ones at risk. Now, if you're a powerful enough superhero, that might not matter to you. The alien, he might not have to worry about having a secret identity, but the vigilante, he really might have to worry about that. As you're playing the game, you will feel the weight of your secret identity. There will be places throughout the city where you can speed change, like in a phone booth, to your superhero outfit or to your civilian clothes. And if you pick the time right or wrong, you could really spill the beans. You could get yourself in trouble. You will feel the weight of having a secret identity. So when it comes to befriending these superheroes and asking them to reveal their secret identity to you, it is really big, and you have to pick the time that's right. But building these connections can really help you. As you befriend superheroes, they might be more inclined to go help you fight crime, or maybe fight crime when you are wanting a day off. You could text them and say, hey, can you take care of this one? Something along those lines, right? But what's really cool about the other superheroes is that you're going to find out at a certain point that there is a league of superheroes, like the Justice League, or like the X-Men, or like the Avengers. And once the public starts to love your hero enough, there will be a point where you are asked to join this super league. Man, there's really so much more that I could tell you about Great Responsibility. There are still so many ideas I have about this game, but I feel like what I've told you already really captures the essence of this game and what I would want it to be. I have no idea if this game will ever be made. I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to work on this. It's my dream to see this game made one day, but I just don't know if that's possible. So I thought at least I could share the idea with you and we could revel in how great this game would be together. Or maybe I just have no idea what I'm talking about and this game sounds like complete and utter dog shit. The only way I'll know is if I post this video and you let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let's talk about them. And just remember, content like mine wouldn't be possible without viewers like you. Thank you.